Hello and welcome, friends. I hope everybody's having a great day so far. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're back, welcome back. I greatly appreciate all of the ongoing support. This is my channel, Dragonsjewel Creative Gems, and I'm Tegan, and I'm just going to get all that wonderful YouTubey stuff out of the way first. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please consider doing so. It's just down below. And of course, if you like the content that you see, don't forget to hit that like button as well. Any love, comments, suggestions, all those wonderful things, there's that comment section below. Today, we are doing a good old whip and chat. And for those of you that may be new to this, WIP just stands for work in progress. And that can be anything on my channel. For me, usually it's a diamond painting, but feel free to pull out your own diamond paintings or another crafty project. Some people even prefer to listen to these while, they get some things done around the house, that sort of thing. And I just keep you some company and chat away and catch everybody up on kind of my 2-week timeline is usually what I do. As you can see, I've got a new canvas here. This one is a pastry panda, or panda pastry. I can't remember. I always mix up the way that it says. I think it's pastry panda. I could be wrong. I'm always mixing them up, but either way, it's from L'Essentiel EDP, and it is an absolutely adorable. You probably saw the unboxing for it, but it's got that absolutely adorable panda who's in the middle of a pastry shop. So there's a bunch of cakes and stuff in this, and the colors are just absolutely wonderful. And what I absolutely love about this company is the amount of ABs and crystals that she adds into each of the canvases. This particular one has 4 crystals and 8 ABs in it. So lots of wonderful colors to work with. So I'm going to get started here. We're going to catch up on 2 weeks. I apologize if you hear cough lozenge rolling around in my mouth. That's just so I don't end up in a coughing fit. No guarantees that's not going to happen, and my voice may or may not hold up, so we'll see how far we get. Yeah. And of course, I'll talk a bit about that as we get to that point in the 2 weeks. So I'm just going to get going here, start working on my diamond painting, and catch everybody up. My 2 weeks takes us all the way back to the end of May there, so the week of the 27th. Just that last little bit of May, basically. And as many of you already knew, probably, unless you're new to the channel, my son had gone in for a surgery that week. So I will talk a bit more about that and how it went and all that wonderful stuff. But first, we have the 27th, and I had a specialized service team meeting for my son. And for those who are new to the channel, there is a whole whip and chat where I go into my son's backstory, but the small gist of things is he was born at 24 plus 6 weeks, so he was a micro-preemie. He has come a long way since everything he's been through. But unfortunately, we do have, or I shouldn't say unfortunately, it's fortunate that we can access services like it, but we access a service called Specialized Services through FSCD, which is Family Services with Children with Disabilities. And because of him being born early, he has experienced many delays, and so we seek out these services to help help him transition to the best that he can be in the community, and kind of give him some of those skills that are a little bit more difficult for him. And so through specialized services, currently he sees a speech therapist, a occupational therapist who works on his diapering and feeding skills, oral skills, and then we had a behavioral analyst who was very fundamental in just helping us with strategies when he would get overstimulated and overwhelmed and couldn't communicate, and just being able to work on a lot of skills and transitioning out in the community, because he tends to like to play little games when he doesn't want to do things. And so basically our behavioral person has been very fundamental in working with us on all of that and kind of getting him to realize there's routines and expectations, and working with some of the things that are challenging for him in those scenarios as well. So basically we get together as a full team, we discuss some of the goals that we had in each area, the progress that we've had, if there's anything additional that can be done to meet those goals. Maybe they're not realistic just yet, or they need more practice, there's a better goal that we could be working on, that sort of thing. So that meeting allows us to kind of go over all of that, adjust anything that we need to, and all of that. This time around, because it was our 9-month meeting and our contract services end at the 12-month mark, so we go a year at a time. We've been on these services for the last 2 years, so our FSCD worker was a part of this meeting as well, not only to kind of see what we've been working on for the last 2 years, the progress we've made, but where we're still at, and just kind of analyzing, are these services at this point in time beneficial? Is there anything going forward that we can work on? Or is it just a matter of we're at a point now where everything we've worked on just has to be continued through practice, and the services really are kind of at a standstill for the time being. So they were a part of that. And basically the result of that ended up to a point where once this 1-year contract is over, it's being recommended that services for that unfortunately stop. I had talked about this being a possibility and how I'm not fully confident that, not that we don't have the strategies, because we do, but that he'll still need some more support in the speech area than anywhere else. I feel like we've got a lot of the strategies for behavioral, we've got a lot of the strategies to continue working on his food and that kind of stuff. And yeah, a lot of that's just going to be time, practice getting, because he's used to routines and all that. He's come a long way. So I'm not feeling like we're really going to suffer in those areas. I'm just really worried about his speech continuing to progress and him being able to communicate what he needs to communicate without getting too frustrated and stuff. So that allowed me to kind of voice that concern as well with both not only his service team but FSCD, so they are aware of that being a concern of mine. We're still going to stop the services, and we're still going to work on the strategies that are given with us using the alternative communication device with him, on being the tablet and the speech program within that. We still know how to model and have situations where we're modeling the words that we're working on, so there's not really a loss there. It's just if we come across where there's no progress and we're practicing, where do we go next? That kind of thing. And so they are, before of course ending services, they are going to give us a list of kind of community-based programs that we can look into. So we're not being completely left on our own. So we'll see. And I mean, I guess if we're really worried about it, we might try to figure out a way where maybe we go back to private speech services. We did that once in the past when we were waiting for these specialized services to kind of come into effect, because we didn't want to, we want him to, you know, be supported fully, and so we did funds for some private speech therapist that we worked with him over the summer months. We went weekly to her. So we might, I don't know, maybe that's something we look into again. We'll see. I mean, we wouldn't do it for crazy amount of times because it's not cheap. But certainly there's always that option to kind of get in and do that sort of thing for him. Again, yeah, so that's kind of where that's at. We did that. That was on the Monday. Then on the Tuesday, we had his surgery. Our OR time for that wasn't until just before the lunch hour at like, I think it was 11:40 or something like that, that he was supposed to go in. That was his OR time, but we had to be there for 9:40 to just kind of register him as there. Then they take his weight, all of that to kind of figure out how much anesthesia he will need. So that, of course, was done. And then, of course, they put a numbing cream. They check vitals, get all that information. They put a numbing cream on both his hands for where his IV will go in for the surgery. And so we were there at 9:40 in the morning at the hospital doing all of that. Our nurse for that kind of pre-surgery prep was one that we've had in the past for this surgery. She had just come back from a mat leave, so of course she recognized us, recognized Riley, was super thrilled to see how big he's gotten even in the last like year since we did the first part of this surgery. Yeah, so that was awesome. For anybody who's new to the channel, this surgery, originally our son came home with a trachea, and he's had 2 airway surgeries before we were able to successfully remove his trachea for him to breathe on his own. And one of those airway surgeries resulted in a rather large bed sore at the back of his head, and to the point that it actually killed and damaged his hair follicles there. So he had no hair growing, and it was this massive bald spot. And yes, it's seen as more of a cosmetic surgery, but I strongly felt that as he got older, that, you know, this big bald spot at the back of his head would not only affect the type of hairstyles he could have without it being visible, but also self-confidence and self-esteem, especially going into the kind of the teen years or junior high kind of years, might be just a little more difficult, and I didn't want, you know, that to be something that he would need to focus on. So this is, they were able to go in and they remove all that scar tissue that that bed sore had caused, and kind of pull the skin taut as much as they can, stretch it and kind of stitch it closed, and that reduces that bald spot. So we already had one of these surgeries done that went successfully. They got, I think, almost half of it that time, but obviously it kind of did a thicker scar line and stretched a little. And so that can happen. So we definitely needed to go in and do a second one. So we had the second one. They allowed like a good year for that to kind of heal up and get to a point where they could do a second one. And this time they were able to go in and pretty much get most of it. This second one, I think there's like 5 centimeters left. So depending how this one heals, she said we may benefit from having an additional 3rd surgery, just for the reason that we could go in and she could have less pulling in of the skin and a thinner scar in the end, which would be less visible too. And depending on how much stretching happens, we may even just want to go in because of the stretching alone. So it may be fine. We may be okay with the scarring that's there and decide, you know what, he doesn't need a 3rd. Or we may look at it and go, you know what, let's just go in that one last time, really polish it up and kind of make it look really finish good, it kind of thing. So all went well. He did awesome. He played some Mario Kart on his dad's Switch while we were at the hospital waiting to go in for his OR time. We had discussed how quickly he had kind of was ready to leave last time from his first initial one, so they were really great about making sure that she came out and saw us straight after his surgery to inform us how everything went, give us any kind of post-surgery information that we may need, and essentially once the nurses did their couple vital checks and things that they have to do on their end to allow for discharge, they were able to actually kind of speed up his discharge because we were able to kind of say, you know, last time we sat around for hours and he was more than ready to go, and we were chasing him around the unit pretty much, kind of keeping him occupied. So, because he gets his energy back. So yeah, we were able to do that, and they were really great about making sure they kind of sped up that process, so it was really not that long after he kind of woke up, got into recovery, got into the post-surgery unit, that our nurse was able to kind of do some vitals. He got a popsicle, so he enjoyed a popsicle, enjoyed some juice and some water afterwards, until kind of he was at a good spot, that they did all their paperwork, all that wonderful stuff, and cleared him for discharge. We came home, of course, that day, and then it was a matter of just keeping on top of his Advil Tylenol mix as the anesthesia and meds that he gets there kind of wear off. For him, the first kind of 24 hours especially, up to 48 hours, are a little bit kind of sketchy. Not because he reacts or anything, but he's just tired. He forgets that, you know, he's a little weebly wobbly from the anesthesia and he just wants to go, so he's usually under very close supervision. We're usually very on top of his pain med schedule for that little bit, and then he's usually just kind of tired too, so he ended up kind of having a nap on the sofa the one day. We had a couple of meltdowns because of I think him just being overtired a little bit and maybe some pain. So we did have a couple of those where we would he would just break down and he'd be crying and upset, and of course he can't vocalize why, so it becomes a guessing game. I mean, we know him pretty well, we know what he's been through, that kind of thing, so we can usually guess, but it meant that we were sitting on the floor with him, comforting him, settling him down. Our German Shepherd Husky mix, she was amazing with him. This recovery, actually, she was a huge help during his meltdowns. Because she would actually come in, she would know he was visibly upset, and was almost like a therapy dog for him, and she would start to just kind of, you know, let him pet her. She'd give him some slurps, which would make him smile. When she gave him kisses, so she managed to just kind of cheer him up when he was upset. But we were sitting, of course, a lot on the floor with him in these moments, and just kind of working through those little big emotions he was going through. But yeah, so that was kind of the first 24, 48 hours. That was a little bit rough on him. Then, of course, his surgeon said pretty much keep him home for the full week. So he was home. The hubby stayed home on the Wednesday to help out, but then went back to work on the Thursday. But our son continued to stay home the Thursday and Friday with me. So yeah, we just kind of chilled, because there's not much he's allowed to really do. He can't really do anything majorly active because of the back of his head. We have to kind of, you know, still keep on top of a lot of things. So he doesn't get to do anything majorly exciting. So we just kind of hung out, cuddled on the couch, because he gets really, really cuddly when he's not feeling 100%. And he just wanted to be around me. So we just kind of did that, kept things pretty low key. So that was pretty much our week there. And then the weekend rolled around, and this is why I am now on some cough drops. My voice may come and go depending, I'm not sure. This is the most that I've kind of been talking since. I ended up coming down with, on Saturday, no, Friday afternoon. So my parents came back on the Friday. I'm actually jumping ahead, I'm missing things. My parents came back on the Friday from their Nova Scotia trip, which them coming back was a complete and absolute gong show. They had their flight rebooked because of delays twice apparently before they even left Nova Scotia. They were told they would have to stay with their luggage, would have to be overnight in Calgary, and then I guess somehow their luggage ended up on their original flight, and so their luggage didn't even make it home with them. It ended up having to be dropped off, I think later that night or something like that, after they got home. So yeah, it was a mess, a huge mess there. They did make it back, their luggage, they did get it back. It was just a day after them coming home kind of thing. But they ended up taking the little man overnight on the Friday, and that's kind of, it was that night that, or that afternoon, because they took him whenever, night, evening, I don't even know. It's all blending together. But basically, in around then is when it kind of started. I ended up with a fever, a fairly high fever, and the chills and sweats, and I was going between bundling up in all the blankets to kicking them all off because I'd all of a sudden be overheating and sweating, or freezing and shivering and not being able to stay warm for anything. So really feeling miserable. I, at that time, had a horrid migraine-like headaches, and so I just felt absolutely miserable. Friday I went to bed early. Saturday I stayed in bed all day because of it. And then Sunday, Sunday morning I still had a little bit of the fever, but it was much lower than it had been previous to that. Still feeling not so hot. I was having non-stop coughing fits. Pretty much breathe the wrong way and I'd be coughing. So I ended up kind of staying away from the hubby and my son and hanging out in my craft room so that I wouldn't get them sick at all. Yeah, so I kind of isolated myself, so to speak. And then, of course, the hubby went back to work on Monday, and the little man went back to school on Monday. So I had to kind of go back to our regular everyday schedule. I'm still having coughing fits, all that wonderful stuff, so I'm still not feeling 100%, but I am feeling better a little bit. My energy is back. It's just the coughing, and then my chest will get sore, or I'll end up with a headache because I'm coughing so much. So there is a little bit of that still going on. That'll, I think, in a couple more days, hopefully completely be gone. That's pretty much been my 2 weeks. I wasn't sure even if I was going to get out my Wednesday video this week, but I did. I was mad. I did get enough energy and a little bit of time on the Sunday, just because I still was kind of isolating myself from my hubby and son, that I was able to kind of work on that a little bit and get that out. So I'm glad I did, because I would have felt really bad if I didn't. That's just my own weird logic that, you know, I have. I know. So that was something. Sorry, I'm just playing around with my things while I think here. I don't think there's anything else really going on. Like I said, that was kind of my 2 weeks, was really just dealing with all that specialized services stuff, the surgery, my parents coming back, and being sick. Wonderful 2 weeks. That's really kind of how it's summed up. Yeah, I've been, at night, not sleeping the best because of the cough. I don't know what it is, laying down always triggers the cough monster or something. Probably because of some post-nasal drip or something causing it, no doubt. But yeah, I'll start coughing and hacking, and sometimes it doesn't even usually matter if I take anything or not, but it takes a while to fall asleep because of it, and then when I do fall asleep, I started hacking and coughing in the middle of the night, or ending up, one night I ended up with a really bad horrid headache in it because of all the coughing that woke me up from my head throbbing, so I had to get up and take some Tylenol for that. So I haven't been sleeping the best, so I am kind of tired in that sense, but other than that, my energy has come back around. That wonderful, you know, nagging that you get when you're sick that's doing it. I've been doing naps most this week, just to kind of keep some sort of amount of sleep happening so that I'm getting better. But it has kind of thrown me off a bit because I haven't been falling asleep right away. I fall asleep and then I wake up and then I fall back asleep and then I'm tired, so then I nap. Yeah, so I'm now trying to, because I am starting to feel better, I'm trying to push myself just a little bit to not nap, so that maybe I can fall asleep easier. I don't know. We'll see. I've just kind of been doing that the last day or two here. We're starting to kind of feel a little better, like I said. So we'll see. Maybe it's too early to push myself that way, but I don't want to stay in my weird sleep schedule because I can get myself into those easily enough with my insomnia as well. Yeah, so I'm trying to get myself a little bit back on schedule with that at least. Don't think we have anything crazy planned this weekend. I'm still not feeling 100%, so I'm not making any plans to kind of go out and do things very much. There is a circus that's like, they do it every every year around this time in June, but they do it in the West Edmonton Mall kind of overflow parking lot area. And I know we've looked at it in previous years. My hubby has been looking at it again. It's something we think our son would enjoy, but with me being sick, I told him if he did want to go, just to get him and our son tickets to go, because I don't think I would probably end up hacking and coughing while I'm there. And then if there's any, like being around the circus environment, if there's any sort of dust or anything like that from, depending how they set up for some of their shows, if it's like a ring of dust or anything for horses, then I might end up in a cough fit, and so I just don't want to chance it. I'm still not feeling 100%, so told him just go ahead, get him and our son tickets if he does want to go, or if my parents want to join him, or aunt want to join him, and that kind of thing, because that might be something they would like to do with him and our son, just to kind of, you know, go ahead. So that'll bring me to channel updates, and I just want to remind everybody that I did put out that your suggestions matter, and from that I have created a Facebook community for the channel. So definitely we'd love to see more peeps over on there. Help that grow in number. You can share your whips that you're working on. You can share your diamond paintings. You can share other crafty projects, because I do other crafty things and I would love to see what everybody's working on. And it's a great way for me to also get to know everybody a little bit better outside of just the YouTube comments. So I go on there and I interact as I can. You can interact with other people who have that same kind of like mindset. That's my English in my brain, guys. Mindset. Oh boy. Yeah, so that just kind of allows you all to interact, have fun, enjoy being in a crafty community, diamond painting community. Yeah, so definitely head on over there. I will have that linked up in the description below. And I also want to remind people that through the suggestions as well, a P.O. box has been opened if you want to send Happy Mail. It's never expected, but of course always appreciated. So I will link that up below. You'll see those two links consistently with not only this video, but kind of the next couple coming out, because I'm going to, you know, just kind of keep pushing that Facebook group to grow, because of course the more people in there, the more works in progress and crafty projects that can be shared, the more interaction that'll happen. And then what might be fun is if we build that to a place where we can start to hold maybe some events or contests or games or something additional that kind of allows us to all interact as a community. Also, still, if you have any suggestions, definitely send those to me. You can do that in that suggestion post that I mentioned in the community tab. You can do that under a wip&chat. If you don't want everybody to see it and you're maybe a little bit more shy, you're more than welcome to email it to me. I want to grow this channel, but I want to grow it in a way that obviously you, my followers and subscribers and friends, would like to interact with the channel, and too, right, and the types of videos you want to see, that sort of thing. So definitely your suggestions matter to me. How to grow the channel, those ideas were great for that as well. Because yeah, if you're interested, I'm sure there's other people who are interested too that maybe just don't want to speak up and say. So yeah, definitely worth sending suggestions. I always take them into consideration, and if there's something I can do now, I will do now. maybe I can't do now. I'll make note of them and do them when I can. That kind of idea. But definitely always appreciated. I'm always looking at what I can do for this channel, what I can add to it, what can I do next, how can I improve, that sort of thing. But that aside, there's still lots of unboxings. There's a couple of small shops that are still in my little folder to edit and kind of get out when I can. Ooh, look at my camera jump. I bumped my table up against it and it moved. So there's definitely lots of those to come out. I've still got a bunch of stuff to film. It's a never-ending list, I tell you. But the one thing I can say right now is the Ghostly Echoes series. As you know, I was doing Alberta ghost stories for it. I have finished all of the Alberta ghost stories, but that doesn't mean that Ghostly Echoes is finished. I am continuing it. I had mentioned I would be continuing it. How I'm continuing it is I'm going to continue to go with my country now. So Alberta was my own personal province. And so those Alberta ghost stories happen all within my province. Some where I live, some very close to where I live, and some like completely opposite of where I live, but still within my province. So those were really fun to read. I know a lot of people really seem to enjoy them, so what I figured I would do was continue within my country next and just move province to province. Now, we have many provinces within Canada, so I figured the easiest way to do that would be to move from one coast to the next coast. Alberta isn't a coastal province. We have BC to the west of us, and then Saskatchewan, so forth, that go out towards the east. So I figured my next wave to go would be to hop over to the western neighbor of mine, British Columbia, BC, and tell ghost stories from there. So we'll go there next. So stay tuned for those. Those will be the ones coming up for next week, hopefully. I have a bunch of filming to do, and hoping my voice will be able to tell the stories not so terribly. But yeah, so basically I gotta get filming on that, so you do have some BC ghost stories. That's the next step for sure. I had a thought and now it's gone. Oh yes, I am thinking just for ease, I will have the playlist Ghostly Echoes as labeled as that, but then within it you will have all the provinces that will eventually be in there. But in order to kind of easily tell them apart, I'm going to switch up that main thumbnail, as well as obviously titling it Ghost Stories of whichever province. So I figured that would be kind of the easiest way. So, you know, if you're feeling like you want to watch an entire series because, say, you heard all of the one, then you can kind of go to the next one, or you can just kind of shuffle around and listen to whatever. But yeah, so I figured that would kind of be the easiest way to tell it apart. So there will be a little bit of a new thumbnail. I'll kind of try to keep it along that creepy, ghosty kind of feel that I had the first one as. And of course, it'll still say Ghostly Echoes, Ghost Stories of wherever, whichever province I'm working in. But yeah, just so you kind of expect that. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to change that like haunting music or if I'll keep that the same. But yeah, we'll get there. That's kind of next on the agenda, is for me to figure out those little bits and bobs and details and get them recorded and happening. I'm going to leave that at that. That's, I think, really about it. Other than, you know, lots of filming, lots of editing, lots of getting them out. my usual upload schedule. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is what I'm trying to stick to. I do, of course, have a vacation coming up at the end of June, beginning of July, which has us flying out to Nova Scotia with our little guy and spending the last time that we can out at the cottage, at my mom's cottage. She sold it. It went super quick. She put it on the market, or got a hold of the real estate agent while she was there, put it on the market when basically she was away from it, and allowed it to be viewed. She had so many viewings lined up. She had offers from almost every viewing, some under the one that she has decided to accept is actually a really, really cool one. It's for the full asking price, not a below or above. But the lady is an oceanographer, fell in love with the cottage, so my mom feels really good about that, at least. It's kind of one of those bittersweet things. She didn't want to sell it, but she can't afford to keep it because there's no one out there who can look after it when she's not staying at it. Yeah, so she really just wanted it to go to somebody who would appreciate it. So it sounds like it's going to somebody that will appreciate it, which is always nice. But yeah, it'll be our last chance to go out and see it, enjoy it, that kind of thing. So yeah, we'll do that before it gets handed over. Which, yeah, looks like it's already been sold. Eek! Anyways, I will see everybody in the next video with something new. Have a great day. Bye.